Welcome, miladies of inestimable value. The most dangerous woman is the one who doesn't need your validation to feel powerful. Here's the thing, society thrives on predictability. People like knowing what to expect, where they stand, and how to manipulate those around them. Enter the Sigma female, a walking paradox who shatters every rule in the playbook. Statistically, women are more likely to prioritize connection and collaboration, but Sigma females, they'll collaborate on their terms. And connection is a bonus, not a necessity. It's not that they're trying to intimidate anyone, they just exist in a way that exposes how fragile egos and shallow motives really are. And that terrifies people. Think of them as the human equivalent of a quiet forest. You're drawn in by the beauty, but deep down, you know there might be wolves lurking somewhere. Number 1. They don't fear destroying and rebuilding. Most people cling to what's familiar, even if it's falling apart, because the thought of starting over is terrifying. Not for a Sigma female. She doesn't just embrace change, she wields it like a weapon. If something isn't working, whether it's a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, or even an outdated version of herself, she won't hesitate to burn it to the ground. And here's the kicker. She doesn't do it out of recklessness or spite. She does it because she knows something better is waiting on the other side of destruction. This mindset isn't just bold, it's downright terrifying to people who cling to stability like a life raft in a storm. Watching someone willingly dismantle their comfort zone on purpose makes them question their own unwillingness to take risks. A Sigma female thrives on reinvention because she understands something most people don't. Nothing great ever comes from staying the same. Growth requires breaking things apart, even if it's uncomfortable or messy. She's not afraid of messy, she's afraid of stagnation. The scariest part, she doesn't wait for permission. There's no committee meeting, no validation from friends, no overthinking about what society will say. She makes her decision, lights the metaphorical match, and walks away like it's no big deal. And while others are left picking up the pieces of their jaws, she's already rebuilding with something stronger, smarter, and better. Of course, this level of self-assuredness makes people squirm. Why? Because deep down, they know they're too scared to do the same. They stick with what's safe, even if it's suffocating, while she leaps into the unknown like it's a personal challenge. It's not recklessness, it's bravery. And to those too timid to make bold moves, her fearlessness feels more like a threat than an inspiration. Number 2, they play the long game. Sigma females are not in the business of quick wins or impulsive decisions. They understand that life isn't a sprint. It's a marathon with twists, turns, and plenty of players who trip over their own egos. While others are busy trying to win the moment, the Sigma female is quietly strategizing for the bigger picture. She doesn't get distracted by petty battles or fleeting drama because she knows they're just noise. Her focus is locked on the end game, and every move she makes is intentional. What makes her so unnerving is how seamlessly she blends patience with precision. She doesn't rush, she doesn't panic, and she definitely doesn't let anyone force her hand. It's like playing chess against someone who's already mapped out every possible move you could make and countered it. By the time others figure out what's happening, she's already 5 steps ahead, sipping her coffee while they're still trying to figure out the rules. People often mistake this level of calculation for coldness, but it's not about being ruthless. It's about being efficient. She won't engage in unnecessary conflicts or waste her energy proving a point. Why battle over scraps when she can quietly position herself for the whole table? Her restraint is what terrifies people the most, because it's not fueled by insecurity or fear, but by confidence in her own foresight. And let's be real, patience is not a trait most people have mastered. They want instant results, instant validation, instant everything. Watching a Sigma female calmly bide her time while the rest of the world scrambles feels like watching a predator patiently stalk its prey. You know she's going to strike, when she's good and ready. And when she does, game over. Number 3, they aren't afraid to be labeled difficult. Being labeled difficult is something most people avoid like the plague, but for a Sigma female, it's almost a badge of honor. She isn't here to make everyone comfortable or win a popularity contest. She's here to live life on her own terms. If that means speaking her mind when others would rather stay silent, so be it. If it means refusing to go along with something she doesn't believe in, she's fine with that too. While most people are bending over backward to be liked, she's busy being real, and that's exactly what makes her intimidating. Her independence and honesty throw people off because they can't box her into a neat little role. She's not the yes woman, the pushover, or the people pleaser. She's the one who says what everyone else is thinking but doesn't have the courage to voice. And let's be clear, she's not being difficult for the sake of rebellion. It's not about picking fights or seeking attention. It's about standing firm in her values and refusing to compromise her authenticity for the sake of approval. This terrifies people who are desperate for acceptance. They can't understand how someone can be so comfortable being disliked or misunderstood. To them, it feels like a superpower. They're used to tiptoeing around other people's expectations, so when they encounter someone who couldn't care less about fitting in, it feels like a direct challenge to their way of life. And here's the twist. She's not trying to be difficult. She's just refusing to live a life dictated by fear of judgment. If that makes her hard to deal with in the eyes of others, she'll gladly wear the label. After all, the people who mind her honesty and independence aren't her kind of people anyway. Number 4, they expose the flaws in group mentality. Group mentality thrives on conformity. It's safe, predictable, and requires zero critical thinking. People cling to it because it gives them a sense of belonging, even if that belonging comes at the cost of their individuality. Enter the Sigma female, and suddenly the illusion starts to crack. She doesn't follow the herd, not because she's trying to be edgy, but because her independence doesn't allow her to sacrifice her authenticity for the sake of fitting in. And that shakes people to their core. Her refusal to participate in groupthink isn't loud or dramatic. It's subtle but powerful. While everyone else is nodding along in agreement, she's the one asking, "But does this even make sense?" She's not here to make anyone feel comfortable, and she doesn't need validation to stand her ground. When she points out the holes in collective reasoning, it forces people to question ideas they blindly accepted. That kind of self-reflection isn't easy for most. It's unsettling, like realizing the foundation you've been standing on is full of cracks. What's even scarier is that she makes it look effortless. She doesn't need an army of supporters or a megaphone to make her point. Her quiet defiance alone is enough to disrupt the status quo. People who rely on the herd for security can't handle someone who doesn't need that same safety net. Her independence exposes their dependency, and that vulnerability is something they'd rather not face. And here's the kicker. She doesn't try to convert anyone. She's not interested in being a leader or forming her own clique. She's simply showing that there's another way to exist, one that doesn't involve losing yourself to the crowd. For those who prefer the comfort of groupthink, that kind of freedom is as terrifying as it is inspiring. Number 5, they're too focused to be distracted. Distractions are everywhere, and most people can't resist their pull. Whether it's the latest trend, pointless gossip, or petty drama, they get sucked in, losing sight of what actually matters. But not a Sigma female. She has this almost unnerving ability to block out the noise and zero in on what truly counts. Her focus is razor sharp, like a hawk locked on its prey, and it's this tunnel vision that leaves people both in awe and slightly terrified. You see, when others try to drag her into trivial nonsense, she doesn't even flinch. Gossip? She's not interested. Drama? She won't even acknowledge it. Petty attempts to get under her skin? Good luck with that. Her energy is reserved for things that align with her purpose, and she's so steadfast in her priorities that it leaves people feeling powerless. They can throw distractions her way, but it's like trying to shake a mountain. It's just not happening. What really unsettles people is the realization that her indifference isn't personal. It's not about them at all. It's about her. She's not ignoring them out of spite. She genuinely has better things to do. And that's what stings the most. When you're used to people getting riled up or playing along, encountering someone who simply doesn't care is a massive ego blow. Her focus shines a spotlight on their own lack of direction. While they're busy obsessing over things that don't matter, she's making steady progress toward her goals. It's like standing next to someone running a marathon while you're still tying your shoes. Her ability to stay on course is a reminder of what they're not doing, and that kind of self-awareness can be downright uncomfortable. In the end, it's not her focus that bothers them. It's what it reflects about their own lack of it. Number 6. They intuitively see through facades. There's nothing more unnerving than realizing someone sees you more clearly than you see yourself. For a Sigma female, it's not even a skill, it's an instinct. She has this almost supernatural ability to cut through the fluff and see people for exactly who they are. Lies? She clocks them before you even finish the sentence. Hidden agendas? She spots them like red flags at a parade. And insecurities? Let's just say she sees through those paper-thin defenses like glass. What's terrifying isn't just that she knows, it's that she doesn't call it out. She won't blow up your spot or embarrass you, she'll just silently file it away for future reference. That unreadable expression of hers, it's her analyzing everything you're too scared to admit about yourself. And the worst part, you know she knows. This level of perception is unsettling because most people rely on their facades to navigate the world. They're used to hiding behind bravado, charm, or carefully crafted personas, and when those don't work, they feel stripped bare. It's like she's holding a mirror to their soul and they're forced to confront things they'd rather keep hidden. No one likes being exposed, especially not by someone who does it so effortlessly. But here's the thing. She's not malicious about it. She doesn't use what she sees to manipulate or hurt. She simply refuses to be deceived. Her ability to see through facades makes her immune to the usual games people play, and that immunity is what leaves them shaken. They can't figure out how to control or influence her, and for those who thrive on pretense, that's a nightmare. In her presence, the masks fall away, and all that's left is the truth, raw, uncomfortable, and impossible to hide. Number 7. Their silence speaks louder than words. When a Sigma female goes silent, it's not the empty kind of silence you can brush off. It's the kind that hums with intensity. It's deliberate, calculated, and frankly, unnerving. While most people scramble to fill awkward gaps in conversation or react impulsively, she leans into the quiet. And this isn't her retreating, it's her reloading. She's observing, piecing things together, and deciding exactly how or if she's going to respond. People often mistake silence for submission or disinterest, which is exactly where they go wrong. With a Sigma female, silence is strategy. It's her way of gathering information, understanding dynamics, and analyzing what's really going on beneath the surface. While others are spilling everything they know in an attempt to control the narrative, she's sitting there with her poker face, taking mental notes. And by the time they realize she's not just zoning out, she's already 10 steps ahead. This level of restraint freaks people out because it's so rare. Most are uncomfortable with silence. They associate it with awkwardness or weakness. But when they realize her silence is intentional and possibly loaded with a response they're not ready for, it shifts the energy entirely. Suddenly, it's not her scrambling to keep up. It's them. The real kicker? Sometimes her silence is the response. If she's disengaging, it's her way of saying, "This isn't worth my energy." That's when people really start to panic because they realize they've lost her interest, and with it, their relevance. It's a power move without a single word. Her silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back their insecurities and missteps, and forcing them to confront the uncomfortable truth. She doesn't play by their rules, and they can't figure out hers. Number 8. They refuse to be defined by anyone else's standards. Most people thrive on labels. They're neat, predictable, and make it easier to understand where everyone stands. But when it comes to a Sigma female, labels simply don't stick. Try to box her into a role, and she'll dismantle it without even trying. She doesn't just reject other people's definitions of who she should be, she obliterates them. She's not interested in being your idea of the perfect woman, the ideal friend, or the team player. Her identity is hers alone, and any attempt to define her is met with a quiet, unshakable defiance. This refusal to conform throws people off because it disrupts the way they navigate relationships. If she's not playing by their unspoken rules, being agreeable, fitting into societal molds, or performing to expectations, they feel like they've lost control of the dynamic. And let's face it, most people hate losing control. Her independence isn't just about breaking stereotypes. It's about living authentically, even if that means making others uncomfortable. She's not going to tone down her ambition because someone thinks it's too much. She won't soften her personality just to be more palatable. And if someone tries to pressure her into fitting a role, she'll simply walk away, leaving them stunned and scrambling to figure out what went wrong. What unnerves people the most is that she doesn't do this out of rebellion or spite. It's not about proving a point or being contrarian. She genuinely has no interest in living a life dictated by other people's standards. This kind of self-assuredness is rare, and it exposes how much of other people's behavior is shaped by external validation. When faced with someone who operates entirely on her own terms, they're forced to confront how much of their identity is borrowed, and that's a truth most aren't ready to face. Number 9. They redefine power without dominance. Sigma females possess a unique brand of power that doesn't require loud displays or dominance. While alphas may assert their authority with outward force and bravado, Sigma females don't need to announce their strength. They simply exude it. It's the kind of quiet, unassuming confidence that can command respect in any room, without ever seeking attention. This is the kind of power that makes people uneasy, because it doesn't follow the rules they're accustomed to. There's no need for a grand show of control. The Sigma's presence alone is enough to make others sit up straight. What's unsettling for others is how effortlessly she does it. She doesn't need to demand loyalty or stamp her authority over everyone. People naturally respect her because her confidence is unshakable. It's a steady force that doesn't fluctuate based on others' opinions or validation. This is a woman who's so sure of herself that she doesn't need to prove anything. She simply is. And that in itself is intimidating. Her power is a quiet strength that doesn't need to scream for attention. It's felt rather than seen. And for those used to power being loud, forceful, or overt, it leaves them perplexed. The Sigma female understands that true power doesn't need an audience. It's carried with dignity and internal assurance, and it's far more enduring than any temporary show of dominance. Number 10. They can cut emotional ties without warning. Most people hold on to relationships, even toxic ones, out of a sense of obligation, nostalgia, or fear of being alone. They cling to old connections because they feel guilty, or because they've convinced themselves they need these relationships to maintain some sense of identity. But a Sigma female? She doesn't need to rationalize or justify cutting ties. If someone crosses her boundaries, it's over. No debate, no second chances. It's as if she has this invisible switch that allows her to emotionally detach with ease. And that's something most people can't even begin to comprehend. This level of emotional freedom is unsettling because it challenges the very foundation of how most people manage relationships. For many, emotions are currency. They use guilt, love, or even fear of loneliness to keep others hooked, maintaining control over their relationships. But when a Sigma female walks away without a second thought, it exposes how fragile those methods are. She doesn't need to feel guilty about putting herself first, and she doesn't rely on others for validation. To her, peace of mind is more valuable than maintaining ties that no longer serve her, no matter how long the relationship has been in place. And that's what terrifies people. They can't control her with their emotions or dependency. There's no manipulation, no playing on her fears or insecurities. If she feels disrespected, or if a relationship is draining her, she cuts the cord without hesitation. The way she detaches emotionally is like flipping a switch. One moment, there's a connection, and the next, it's gone. This emotional clarity and resolve are so rare that it leaves people reeling, scrambling to understand how they could have lost someone they thought they had a hold on. For those who rely on emotional manipulation to maintain power in relationships, this ability to walk away without warning is nothing short of terrifying. In a world where people are conditioned to conform, seek validation, and play by the rules, the Sigma female stands as a living testament to what it means to be unapologetically herself. She's not defined by anyone else's standards, and her power lies in the quiet confidence that comes from being independent, self-aware, and unshakable. The fear she evokes isn't out of malice, but rather from the discomfort others feel when confronted with someone who operates outside the limits of societal expectations. To know a Sigma female is to understand the profound freedom that comes with living authentically, without compromise, without fear, and without a need to fit into predefined boxes. Her silence, her ability to walk away when needed, her refusal to be controlled, all serve as a reminder that strength comes from within. She doesn't need approval or the validation of others because she knows who she is, and that's exactly what makes her so extraordinary. So the next time you encounter a Sigma female, don't try to decode her or put her in a box. Recognize the quiet force she is, and remember, the most powerful thing she can do is remain entirely untouchable by the norms and expectations that bind most people. And if that makes you uncomfortable, well, that's exactly her point. If you found yourself captivated by the unique power and presence of the Sigma female, imagine what you could learn from diving even deeper into the world of untamed individuality, fierce independence, and quiet strength. Don't miss out on more exceptional insights like these. Hit that subscribe button and join the journey. Be part of a community that values authenticity over conformity and courage over complacency. Subscribe now, and let's unlock the secrets of the extraordinary together. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, Jules. See you in the next video. Bye for now and stay blessed.